Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Fiona and I'm a mum of three, a yoga teacher and a voluntary breastfeeding supporter. And on this channel you find videos all about parenting and breastfeeding and birth and pregnancy and yoga. And today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. It's menstrual cycle awareness, or MCA. But before I get started, I would just like you to please subscribe if you haven't already, to like this video when you finish watching it if you like it, and then to share it with people who you think might find it interesting. So just for the video today, I am going to just kind of briefly explain what menstrual cycle awareness is, how to do it, and why you might want to do it, and then kind of share some resources with you for if you wanted to, start reading and researching yourself. First of all, what is menstrual cycle awareness, or MCA? It's basically tracking your cycle. There are 4 phases in this, and they correlate to your kind of inner seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. I suppose what's really interesting in MCA is that it is not only tracking when you bleed, it is tracking every single part of the cycle, okay? And it's really being aware of all the different changes that are occurring at each moment, on each day of the cycle. Like, it is easier to start tracking on the first day of your bleed, and that becomes day 1. And then you count every single day. And a kind of an interesting thing to do is to kind of maybe just write down one word of how you feel on that day, okay? And then you go through every single day until you come back to bleed day again, and that becomes your number 1 again. So after a couple of months, you very quickly become aware of different patterns in your cycle. You can become aware of the changes that occur at different times, and sometimes down to the day. Like, the feeling can be the exact same, like maybe every day 13 you feel really scattered because you're ovulating, or and I think it's really important to remember that every single person who tracks their cycle is different. Like, I remember when I was growing up, it was like, 28 days cycle, 5 days bleed, and it's not like that. Well, it is for some people, but it is very variable for different people. And I think it is basically, I feel, a key to finding out more about yourself and to self-awareness. So that's kind of what it is, basically. Tracking each day and kind of noticing a pattern as the months go on and years. So it becomes a way to take care of yourself and to understand your strengths and your weaknesses and your times that you're more energetic or less energetic, and when you really need to rest. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on that now. So for example, your inner winter is when you bleed. It's from day 1 to however many days you bleed. And you start counting from it's not kind of the residual spotting, it's the full bleed. So some people kind of spot bleed a couple of days before their full bleed. So you don't count that. You count your full bleed. So that's day 1. And that is your inner winter. It's your time of rest, doing as little as possible. I know this is very hard in today's world to do that, but once you are aware that it's coming, you can prepare for it a little bit. And then the next phase that follows is spring. It's when you start to regain a bit of energy, you start to feel good, and you start to make plans, probably. And it's a good time to meet people, but to not kind of go at it headlong. Sometimes it's really, you've been just resting for a few days or not feeling great, and then it is easy to kind of just feel like, let's go for it. But it's kind of good to pace yourself during spring, because then you do have usually more energy. During your summer period is around ovulation. Now, some people can feel very scattered on the day that they ovulate, and that's kind of a variation of normal as well. But usually in the summer inner season, you will feel more energetic. It's time to socialize, do like all the kind of fun things that you want to do, and and then next comes autumn, which is also known as your pre-menstruum. And that is usually a time when there is an increase in progesterone. So like during the ovulatory kind of phase, there's an increase in estrogen, and then that declines after ovulation, and then there is an increase in progesterone, and that is kind of the hormone of being a little bit more true to maybe your own needs, and like discerning about what you need and want. You may feel like a bit kind of pissed off with people or situations, and that's kind of the norm in the premenstruum. It's a really good time to kind of get things in order, prepare for your inner winter, like do a big shop or like do like a few big dinners so that during your winter phase you can rest a bit more. But it's also a good time to kind of take stock and understand things and be like, okay, well, what do I need and what do I not need? Kind of like the editing phase of your cycle. And then you're back to winter again. So in time, you start to realize these little things like that will help you. You kind of were like, you're like, okay, I'm coming up to day 21. This is a time where I know I shouldn't meet up with all these people because I'm, something's going to annoy me or whatever. So you begin to use it to your advantage over time and start to notice trends and patterns, and especially the crossover days between the seasons can be a bit tricky. So yeah, it's like, for me, it's been really, really interesting as a kind of a tool of self-awareness, and it's kind of just always there. It's almost as amazing as understanding your breath when you first start doing yoga and you kind of just realize, oh my God, this is a tool that I always have and I can use it whenever I want to make myself feel better. The same goes for the MCA. Just the awareness is incredible. And I think life-changing. I don't say that lightly. I really do. And I also think this understanding kind of gets rid of any previous shame or secrecy that might have been around your cycle in the past. I don't know, that's how I feel. It's like it's really opened it up to be something fascinating and magical. And I know that it sometimes can be not such a nice thing to have to bleed for a few days and like feel down, but it's also a way of actually in like your body saying, I actually need the rest. And if you didn't, you wouldn't get that. So it's actually necessary, I think. And I think it's just making friends with your cycle, because for so long the narrative has been, oh, we have to put up with this, or oh, this is something to be shameful or to hide and stuff. And it's not. It's actually amazing. And I really like that that's the way I feel about it now. And it's also how my children are learning about it, because I have all these books all over the place about it. And my children know. They're like, oh, what day are you on? What season? They know the seasons. And I think that's really, really positive for boys and girls both to understand, because it's like a tool of self-awareness. And how amazing would that have been? I just think, if I had known all this when I was a teenager, to be able to understand myself better. And finally, I want to explain to you maybe how you might learn a bit more about this. I learned most of what I know from two amazing books. And I've been listening to podcasts and videos and stuff as well. I actually read this one first, Period Power. This is fascinating. It gives it in a very kind of digestible format. It's quite scientific, really, really well written and easy to understand in different sections and stuff. And then this one, Wild Power, was actually written first, and these were the people who kind of initiated this whole inner seasons, menstrual cycle awareness. So many people have written books on it now and done further studies in different kind of areas of it, like from nutrition to kind of the spiritual side, incorporating like the different products, like making it more eco-friendly. Like there's so many different kind of facets to the menstrual cycle awareness. But this particular one, it's Alexandra Pope and Shani Wurlitzer. They're the Red School founders, and I've been following them for literally years on social media. And this is a really, really kind of it's more spiritual side of it, and it's really, really in depth. It's kind of one of those topics where you can just go further in depth. They're the main books that have helped me. But yeah, it's amazing. And there are a lot, as I say, a lot of other books as well, like The Fifth Vital Sign, like, that really medical professionals should know about this. You know, there's so much really to women's health that is not understood, and I think it really ties in well with a lot of my interests and my professional life as well, like teaching yoga for pregnancy and postpartum, because birth is one of the, you know, blood rites. There's menarche, which is your first bleed. There's birth, initiation to motherhood, which is your second blood rite, and then there's menopause, the third blood rite for females. And I think it's just, this just ties in with all of that. Like it's the whole, it spans the whole, you know, the whole thing from menarche to menopause, and it's just so fascinating. So I really would encourage you, if you don't already, you know, track your cycle, to do so. And then remember, it's not only just to understand about the time when you bleed, it's to understand all the different phases of the inner seasons as well. If there's something that you have experienced or read up on stuff or anything that I didn't mention, please comment below, because it's something like it's evolving. I'm constantly learning, and that's great, you know. I'm also going to link down below some other people that I think are really, really interesting to follow in this field as well. So that's it for today. Thanks a million for watching, and remember to subscribe, like and share if you can, and cheers, and I hope to see you again soon.